The item that is the largest boon to the copy command, especially when compared to something like raw SQL inserts, is the ability to load data in parallel to your nodes and node slices. Now there are some techniques on your end to get the copy command to function at its true potential, and that's what we're going to cover here. These are part of a larger list of best practices for loading data in general that are available on the AWS documentation. Check that link here because there's a lot of good information. You'll see the same theme that we've been hitting in this course throughout that online documentation, but we're going to focus on performance best practices from that list. It bears repeating, almost anything you can do to support parallelism in your Redshift cluster is going to result in high performance, and this is very true with the copy operation. So from a performance standpoint, there are basically 4 best practices that should become second nature to you when loading data. Number 1. Thoroughly analyze your distribution keys and sort keys for best match to your query loads prior to loading all your data. This is going to be much easier to put in place when you have empty structures and can establish these properties and aspects. At times, you may need to analyze your workloads before you truly know the best approach, but following the recommendations from AWS and using the techniques that we're covering in this course will help. And if at all possible, doing it before you've put a massive amount of data in place is going to be easier. Number 2, use a single copy command with multiple source files for each load. If possible, the number of files should be multiples of the number of nodes in your cluster. This ensures that all nodes can be effectively used in parallel. And managing this is where a manifest file will come in handy. One anti-pattern to this approach would be using a single large file as a copy source. In this case, the copy process must serialize the load from that single file and misses out on the opportunity for parallel processing. Another anti-pattern would be using multiple copy commands with one or even multiple files. This can lead to conflicts and resource contention as the multiple copy commands interfere with each other. This is especially true when multiple loads or copies are trying to access the same underlying table. This not only leads to contention of resources during the load, but can cause poorly distributed or sorted tables that may require significant vacuum work after the copy completes. The vacuum command is often necessary, but that doesn't mean it's inexpensive. The number 3 best practice, compress your source files. Compression on the source files allows faster reads from disk, less overall data traveling the pipes between source, storage, and your cluster. Disk reads are often the largest bottleneck when loading data. So any CPU overhead that you create in compressing and uncompressing data is going to be an effective trade when you see the benefits in total read file times. And then finally, number 4, whenever possible, load the data in the same order as your sort key. Now this doesn't mean that the data in your source file has to be sorted in that order. Copy actually can do this for you. What it does mean is this. Consider a table that has a nightly load of a day's activity worth of data. If the destination table is sorted by activity date, then each new load is going to be naturally in that same order. And as each new load occurs, it's loading into sequentially increasing dates. This allows Redshift to append data onto the end of existing tables, and it can accomplish this without destroying the existing order of the declared sort key, thereby avoiding the need for an expensive vacuum to resort the data after every load. This same can be applied for naturally ascending surrogate keys or identity fields that increase in number with each new load. Like I said, it's okay if the individual rows within your source file aren't necessarily in that sort key order. Copy will take care of that for you. But in general, as you load data, over the life of a table, if you can match the order of your sort key with the order of the way you are inserting data, the benefit is very tangible. So using these 4 best practices, we're going to do a couple of loads, one with these best practices, one without, and compare and contrast and see just how much of a difference we're talking.